Hey guys, it's Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. I'm introducing an addition to the algos. It's really not an algorithm in and of itself, but it'll help us understand when there's potential momentum to the upside or to the downside and when the trade may extend. So before I start that, if anyone's just generally watching this and would like to contact us for either a 3-day trial to the room, you can email me at tradeandperform@gmail.com. You can ask for a 3-day pass. The cost of the room is $95 a month. If you want the algos and access to the room, it's $250 a month total for both. And you can have one, you can have the other. I don't care, or you can have none of the above. It's for serious traders, right? So if you're looking for an edge for a process, they'll give you high RR and great risk reward and a high win rate. We're probably what you're looking for. If you're looking for something that's easy, we're probably not what you're looking for, right? There's a learning curve to it. So, anyways, jumping into it. Okay, guys. So two things were added, and you're going to see these on the screen on a daily basis. So I feel like I should highlight them for you right now. So let's go to the first things first. You will see um, these funny-looking arrows here. I'm pointing to this and this. This simply shows the initial balance off the first hour high. I want to say that again. This shows the initial balance from the first hour, and it's valid for 24 hours, meaning all the way through the Asian sessions, all the way through the London session, and through the first hour of the next trading day, right? So I will go into specific setups, but that's going to help us just see where IB high and low get set, when it gets broken and satisfied, when we're in trend day up. It should make it a little bit easier, and it looks like nothing else on the screen, so it's really easy to spot. The next thing that's on the screen are these little white lines and green lines. They are not algorithms by themselves. So let me be very specific in how they work, right? They don't tell you, what they tell you is where there might be momentum in a trade. You still have to use your thought process on how you're going to take a trade. So like Monday morning, let's get out past the first hour so we can see this and how we might integrate this into the overall process. So over here, you'll see at 9:11 a.m., right? So the way we would use this at 9:11 a.m., right? So remember, this doesn't get set. So we're above the prior day's IB, and we're really not considering the current IB until the first hour is set. So what we're looking for is our same process, right? Nothing changes per se about that. Uh, and I'm not sure on the colors or even the signal I have for the algo, but what I want here is um, a signal to tell me that momentum may have changed after I already have my entry into a trade. So this is a 40 tick and I was just playing with it. Let's minimize that for the second and go to a smaller chart where I don't have the IB on here yet, but I have the rest of the setups that might have taken place. So I'm going to take a normal setup that we would have every day, right? And what I'm going to do with that is, so this is pushing up and I'm potentially looking for some type of short, right? So here you see our normal trade where we have a no supply, no demand, right? We have an apex, and then that apex is taken out right here. We can close above, and then we get a speed bar back down, back into the apex, off to the left, right? That's a normal everyday trade. What all this third bar does tells me is that I've had 3 consecutive bars that have 3 bars lower or 3 bars higher. That's all that it tells me. But quite often when you see those 3 bars higher or 3 bars lower, you will often get a um, you will often get an extension or a continuation. So if I was short here, right? If I was short here and I were to get this white line underneath, I would still scale, right? I'm still up like from 52. If I took this trade here, but the entry's on that speed bar in this particular case, right? So it's still 50 down to 38, right? So that's 12 points. I'm usually taking a scale at 10 or 12 points just to get some of my risk off, particularly on my stops, 12 or 15 points. That's almost a one-to-one or a one-to-one or R, right? But when I see this white line, what it does is it tells me that it goes, hey, wait a minute, you probably have more to go. You can see that this eventually came down to 12, 14, 75, right? Um, so that is a very important component. But the other thing that I noticed in the component is, um, so let's take that long and flipped up over here. And let me see if I can get this point across too. It's still a little nebulous, so I'm going to have to kind of mold it as we go through and apply it to the rest of the algos. But normally we would say that, for example, let's say I was still bullish and I was going to go long at the high. I'm not, but I'm going to use this as an example here, right? So let's say I took this trade here. This is a stop out of a no supply and no demand that closes back into a star. And in this case, I would have been stopped out. I'm going to keep going through the sequence. But in that process, I also got another no supply, no demand. So it scoots over to the right. And I get my next star and I go long, right? So I'd be long on that star. Let's just call it 27 for sake of conversation. And what I want to see pretty quickly after I take this trade, within 1 or 2 bars, is I want to see this green line show up. Now I'm still going to take my scale at 10 points and get my risk off. But once I see this green line, right, I want to see that green line. It tells me automatically. It reminds me, right? Remember, the whole idea is to not have to think while I'm trading. If I see the green line show up, right, I know I'm going to go, oh, I want to say this again. If I see the green line show up, I want to go, oh, there's more potential extension on this trade, and I want to hold off on scaling too quickly. But so if I told someone in the room, hey, you get 3 consecutive bars in a row, and when you see that, you should be patient. But the problem is when we're really in there trading really hard, right? The algos have 2 objectives. One is to show a pattern that's difficult to see, but the other one is to take some of the thought load off the process while you're trading, so you don't have to see it in real time, right? You don't have to think about it in real time. I know I get the green bar. So let me give you an example back to the left over here off this lift at 10 o'clock, right? So we're going to go into pretend land here for a minute, okay? There's 2 qualities that I noticed, and I know everyone's going to pick it up in the room, so I want everyone to see it to begin with. The first quality that I want everyone to see, because you're going to see it to begin with, right? So I'm going to try to go through this and just be brief. On an extension, when I get 3 bars in a row to the downside, one of the patterns that I've seen repeat over and over again is that as I'm coming down through here, right, and then I get one of our strongest algos, for example, the speed bar, star, speed bar, star, I'm sure I'm missing something in there, but one of the algos that fire off just like this, what I noticed is if I get the speed bar, and then on the last bar that has the last white line on it, if I get a orthodox close above, we will tend to lift significantly off of that. So this is the last bar. So there's 2 choices, either getting the point of control above or getting the orthodox close above, and I'm not sure which it is. Again, this is in the very early stages of this idea. So there's 2 things: seeing it statically, seeing it in real time, and then trial and error in real time execution, right? So right now, its only purpose in the room is to remind me that if I'm already short or I have a short setup, right, to watch for the extension. That's all I am looking for, right? The other part is, or that I've seen that's been consistent, is that if it's coming down and I get these bars, and as soon as I print one of these bars, right, within 1 or 2 bars I get an algo, I tend to get a reversal off of that. Let me give you an example. White bar, speed bar, pump, right? Green bar, last green bar in a series, yellow speed bar, down. 4 white bars in a row, right? Star, up, right? If I come over here to the left a little bit where it got choppy, kind of the same idea, same concept, right? So as I'm coming up, right, green bar, green bar, green bar, green bar, Here I don't get an algo, but I already have, as I'm coming up here, right? I already have no supply, no demand, point of control underneath, and away it rolls, right? And by the way, I want to point out something on the no supply, no demand. If you don't get the triangle by the third bar, that trade's getting busted. Like you should have a third bar within that no supply, no demand setup, just FYI. And you can even wait for the triangle down. It's just a question of increasing the stop on the setup. I'll cover more details on that later, right? But as I come through here, so I don't get the algo here, right? I get 1, 2, 3 stars. So this bar is the stop, right? So you still have to kind of go, it still goes in line with where am I looking for the reversal, right? Where's the location? Where's the 50-60 or the 382? There's got to be some kind of reversal area in your head. Remember, the algo is to trigger you in at location. But again, if we followed it just blindly when we're testing, right? And we come through, I want to see a couple of things, right? And I'm going to show you how to integrate this. And what I'm doing is I'm throwing out all the possibilities out there, and then I'm letting the team come back to me. So right now, remember, all I'm using it for on Monday, right? Excuse me just one second, guys. So if I went through this in sequence, again, this is not the way I intend to trade it, right? So 1, 2, 3 star, I would get stopped, right? Coming down. Remember, that star isn't any kind of setup for us, right? So obviously what we would do is we want to take the algos and then integrate the idea altogether. So this is where we're at in terms of a rough idea. And then we're going to continue to refine until I have a very sharp and specific concept of what we're looking for, right? So again, I see the 3 down in a row on an extension. I get the star up. So what's the next thing I want to see on that? Is I want to see a green bar, a green line to the upside over here. When I get that to tell me I can have a potential extension, right? So and I'm going to give an example of that. See where I get this no supply, no demand, then I get the point of control underneath, right? That's a short for us normally. And this would make sense, right? You're thinking, oh, we've come up, we retraced a little bit, and then we get the extension to the downside. Well, what I want to see is if I take this trade, is by the time I get to after this triangle, like if you'll look where these come, it's usually triangle, and then it's a third bar up. That's the pattern. Triangle, then one of those white lines show up. So by the time I get to this triangle down on the very next bar, I want to see a white line if I'm trying to go short. If I'm trying to go long, right? Let me find an example of that. So this will be a good example of where, let's see if I can find this. No supply, no demand. Stopped out, closed back in with a speed bar. So then I get my triangle down. Right after I get that triangle down, the very next thing I want to see is this white arrow down. If I don't get that, I'm pretty suspicious of the trade right away. So I want to say that again. I get a no supply, no demand, right? I get trapped back in on a high odds short. I already know that, right? So then I need something to regulate because we're using, most of us, I am certainly using a lot of leverage on the trade. And so when I see that, I go, that's good. That doesn't mean we can't have a retrace back up and a continuation, but once I see that white line, I know that we can continue. We have a chance of continuing to the downside. Like, for example, if I went long here, I see my triangle up. The next thing I want is that green bar on that third bar. Now, see, in this case, you still want to scale because it's still retraced, right? And you can see it just didn't make the progress that you wanted it to make. And then you see that it actually ended up setting up short there on a high odds short and then rolled to the downside, right? That's the kind of stuff we are looking for. So I'm not sure on the best way to present this, but that's how the idea or the concept should work, right? And again, you're still going off of your high odds trades, your high odds setups, so that you see these trades in formation. For example, there's your no supply, no demand, get stopped out on the corner. There's your triangle down. And what would keep me in this trade is I see that white line pop up and I go, oh, okay, wait a minute, let it extend, right? Let it extend. Conversely, see how I have a no supply, no demand over here? They get stopped out on the edge. and then I get the star back up, right? Then I get the triangle up. That's good. And when I see this green line appear, I know that I want to lay off taking my scale too quickly. Why? Again, because that's going to keep me from getting run over. And what I want to show you where the pattern's prevalent is, let's say for some reason we had a short here, right? See this? So let's say you trap back in here, what you did, and you shorted on the star. Okay? Got the star. You got the triangle down. You're all good right now, right? But remember, our stop would be all the way back over here. Our stop would be all the way back over here. So I know where the criticism come out, and this is where the rough part has to be worked out, right? As a matter of fact, you get a divergent bar with a triangle up. Again, this is the high of the day at the time, right? So two things on both these trades. If I was short and I don't get the continuation, my stop can move from that 78 all the way down to 69. That's a 9-point difference, or $180, a difference in contract and stop size, right? Um, in that same idea, let's say I did it the other way around. Let's say you took the divergent trade. You were going for the momentum trade. You took the divergent trade. You see that? You have you have a couple things. No supply, no demand, point of control above, divergent triangle up, right? On that very next bar, you want to see a white line up, right? And if you don't, once again, on that trade, your stop's all the way down here, right? So if those who are in the room know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So your entry was here originally, was at 74. Your stop was at 51. If you see this bar right here, you go from a 51 stop to a 62 stop. That's huge, right? That's almost $200 per contract in savings. So again, what are we doing? We're kind of whittling down. We're not just kind of. We're whittling down what we want to see when it's great. I'm going to go back a little bit in history because Friday was straight trend day up, and I want to go to Thursday here real quick just to show you what this looks like in the morning. Oh, there's Wednesday morning. Let's go Thursday morning. So this is early in the morning, right? So remember, let's get out at 9 o'clock. And now we're looking for a trade, right? So the first thing you can see that is as we're going up, we're looking for traps back into no supply, no demand. So I want to make a point. This would be a normal short entry right here. This would be a normal short entry, that triangle down, and your stop would normally be right up here. So your entry would have been short 13,985, right, with a stop at 14,007. Okay, so that's 85 to 07, 85. That's almost 27 points a stop. If this next bar doesn't print a white bar, man, I want to be gone. I'm going to be gone right here on this star. Why? Because that changes my stop to 85 to 98. And so instead of that's almost, again, another $200 a contract in stopped in P&L that would have gone to my negative side of my column, right? And then as you see, as I come up here, right? So let's just stay with the same idea or concept, but we're going to pretend a little bit. We're going to pretend like this is a trap to the downside right here, okay? A valid trap. It's not on this 24, but that's okay. We're going to say that it is, okay? So I'm going to short in on this triangle down, right? Just so you have the sequence. When I get that triangle down and then I see that third bar, I still want to scale, but now I want to take my hands off because that tells me now I've got 3 in a row and I can get that extension, that continuation to the downside, right? Now, will it always work? No, of course not. I can give you an example of where it goes to profit plenty of times and then doesn't give me that white line down or the green bar up, but it'll cut my stops, my trades that fail. It won't decrease the number of failures. We'll still have a high win rate, but it'll cut down the stop size onto failures. And again, remember, we already have a high win rate. We already have a great RR. So we're just trying to pare down and get to even more of that fruitfulness, more of that P&L in our pocket without taking the stops, right? Why? What does that do? If you can cut down on the size of your stops, that means you can be more aggressive on your sizing of your position, right? So As I go through this trade, that's what I am looking for variations on this trade. And by the way, the same rule goes for ES, and I'll cover that in the room in the morning. But again, I want to give you an example. This would be an example. See the no supply, no demand here at 952, right? Stopped out right over here. Okay, I'll put an arrow on it. Stopped out. The triangle up is my entry. I'd be long right there, right? When I see this green line, I don't want to be in a position where all of a sudden I dump for 10 points. I want to look like normally I'd go, let's take out these areas up here, and up here, right? That's kind of what we're targeting, or back to VWAP, or back to something that would make sense as a target back up. I don't have the levels here what we'll be looking for, but something that would be normal or within the rotation of that 30 to 50 points on NQ off the base, right? But something that makes sense while we're trading. The point is, by the time I see this green line up, I know to lay back, let the trade work for me. So I'm going to go through this one more time and say this again. Normal setup that we are looking for. All this does right now, is tells me that I have the potential for the momentum in the other direction. And then we'll be slowly adding additional ideas as um, as our trades set up and develop. Okay, I want to say that again. We will be adding our normal ideas as our trade setups continue and develop. Okay, so anyways, that's my 2 cents, guys. My name is Simon. I'm with Trade and Perform Coaching. If you have any questions, obviously email me. Anytime I introduce something new to the room, it adds a little bit of challenge, right? You got to integrate it mentally. You got to see the experience of it in real time, and then you got to have a plan for what you're going to do. There's actually a bunch of setups that come off of this, and I will go into greater detail as we get those setups. I will go into more and more detail on what the additional setups that can come out of this. But again, I want everyone to focus on the A++ setups and use this. Again, this is a perfect classic example. Oh, perfect trap. I get it up. I want to show one more example later in the day, maybe of a short, right? So no supply, no demand. Triangle down would be my entry. I see that white line. I want to pause on my cut. I want to scale, but then pause on the rest of it to let it get the extension. And that's all we are doing right now. That's all we are doing with this right now. Okay. So in the room, you're going to see other setups. You're going to see other possibilities because it's going to give you additional information. But for now, right, for now, that is all we are looking for. Anyways, hope everyone's having a great weekend. I will see y'all in the morning, guys. Bye.